Well, I think that you achieved immortality right now.
All right, let's do this.
Let's go. Let's test what these servers can do. Hello, Editing Pingo here. What you're about to see is the video that I recorded with Breaking MTG, another content creator from Magic that I had the pleasure to collaborate with a week ago. You will see the link of his channel in the description as other things that are mentioned. We try to get this maximum life combination between two players, what happens, but while we were setting it up, we just had a very nice conversation because it took some time. We also discussed combos, interesting cards that can be used in many situations, and in general our experience with the game and so on. So I'll leave you to the video. Please watch, subscribe, give it a like. I am on live on Twitch multiple times a week, usually Monday and Thursdays. While you're watching the video, I'm gonna play some Commander. Bye! Hello to everyone, or no one, depending on who is actually watching this. What's the idea? How are we gonna tackle this big question of how much life can you get on the arena? It's the big idea.
The biggest problem was to make sure that I didn't cause so many triggers that arena crashed. So I needed to make sure that I gained a lot of life without dealing a lot of damage or causing too many triggers. So having things that are lifelink obviously helps that. So my Healer's Hawk or my beloved Princess, which those are awesome, especially when you're going against huge creatures. I usually just put the Light of Promise on, so that way, you know, it starts off small, I deal 1 damage, I gain 1 life, it gets +1/+1. But if I gain 10 life, it gets +10/+10, and so it has that exponential growth. To help with that, I would have the Rhox Faithmender, so that way it doubles my life total anytime I do that, and then I throw in those extra little creatures that say, if I gain a life, I gain an additional 1 instead. So it can get to the point where I play 1 creature and I gain 10 life. So I would also throw in, and this one was kind of a new one, the Voice of the Blessed, simply because when he gets big, he becomes indestructible. And so if I have something like that, I can block most people's big stuff. So for this particular interaction that we're having, if I'm attacking with a lifelink creature that's you can block with an indestructible and we don't have to worry about things dying. But the majority of it was just to gain a crap ton of health and get us into the negatives.
The people that are watching, or they will be watching the video, will understand in a moment what we mean by going to the negative. So I would say let's jump into the game so we start pumping up our life total, and then meanwhile we discuss further the strategy. So because it takes some time to set up. There's gonna be also a second part of the stream where we're gonna make an infinite damage combo against one of us with maximum life attainable, to see how long it takes for the infinite combo to bring me to lose, or if it just goes infinite.
My bet is that Arena won't like it, and it'll tell us that we need to do another action, otherwise it's going to end in a draw.
Yeah, it's usually what it does.
Oh, good opening for that.
Yeah,
so I'll see your Soul Warden, and I'll raise you a Soul Warden.
Yeah. So then let's see how you deal with this. And this.
Should I be mean?
Yeah.
I will match it with this.
Oh. All right. I'm happy that we're not actually trying to kill each other, because with that on the field, I feel it would be a little bit doomed for me. Unless...
No, I just need to make sure that he's smaller than your Healer Hawk, so that way you can gain life on your Healer Hawk.
Yeah.
But I am getting a really good draw right now.
That's good. That's good. I am not getting lands, but the good thing about this deck is that we have time. Oh my god. Okay.
I said I got a really good draw.
Okay, I don't have anything, so I would just, I don't know, don't block me.
Poke me. It's okay.
That's the only way I can gain life this turn. Oh, finally.
But I mean, one of the other things I do when I play a deck, when I do a normal build, I try and make sure that whatever combo I've got is going to be as effective as possible, and I'll throw what I can in there to do that. I will also make sure that most of my cards aren't expensive. Like, my most expensive card in a deck is going to be like a 5 mana cost. Most things are like 3 or 4, just so that way if I do get mana screwed, I'm not horribly off because I can afford everything. It does bite me in the butt occasionally when someone says, destroy all creatures with power 3 or less.
Yeah.
Or mana cost 3 or less. They're like, all mana cost 3 or less were gone. And you're like, that's everything.
Yeah, temporary lockdown. Goodbye. But so have you played this? Have you tried to play this deck on the ladder like this as is, like this real?
I haven't done this one. I've done I've got a token building deck. Oh, beautiful. That is exactly what we need. Yeah. I've tried my token ramping deck. That one gets me to platinum. I've gotten to gold or to diamond with it. The one that I've been using that has Horn of Gondor, I can get up to platinum pretty easy. Once I hit platinum, I don't like messing with the algorithm. Yeah. And so I just I'm fine, whatever.
Yeah.
The black enchantment deck that we'll see later, as a joke, I've played that on ranked and I've gotten it up to gold 1.
Oh, that's great, actually.
But that deck doesn't have a single creature in it.
Yeah, so they cannot really interact with you. And enchantment is not that easy to interact with in the first place.
It also means that if they have creatures, I can't block them. So they just hammer the crap out of me.
Yeah. We haven't talked about Celestial Mantle, which is one of the other key cards for this deck. Because it says when an enchanted creature deals combat damage to a player, double its controller life total. So when you have the combo of Celestial Mantle and the Rhox, that's where you actually start crunching numbers. So we'll try to eventually fish for that at some point.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got a Rhox and a Celestial Mantle, even if you've got 2 Rhox out, I mean, your life gain is insane.
So now I am wondering if to keep pace with your Voice of the Blessed on my Hawk, which now became basically my engine to get to max health, I should level up the Cleric class, even though it's slows up. Yeah, don't do it.
No. That delays things so much.
All right. I'm not gonna do it. So this is my personal addition, as I was mentioning in the story before, because I like to switch the health total with hits. Also because when it has bigger power than your life and you switch it, actually Arena reads it as you gaining life. So it's good because when you have the Rhox that doubles that amount, again, it's a matter to spiral out of control. Oh, I should have done the -9 of Ajani. I'm an idiot. My
what is the -9?
It just puts counters on a creature based on my life total.
Yeah, if you did that on your healer Hawk, you'd kill me right now, though.
Yeah, but you can block with your...
No, because I could. Well, see, that's the dilemma, though. I guess if you put it on your Evra, because then I could block with my Voice of the Blessed, and then you attack with your healer Hawk, and then your life doubles. So that would probably be a good thing.
The problem with Evra that I found is that when you exchange the life totals and it's corrected by the counters, it kind of starts to screw up sometimes the calculations. So I prefer to keep just this exchange mechanism without counters on Evra, because then it's just gonna spiral out on its own. I'm just gonna try it on the Healer's Hawk, and you can block with your Voice of the Bless. There you go. So what I will do is that I will just exchange my life total now. I attack you.
Then I block with an indestructible creature.
Let's go. That's some life for me. Thank you very much. And yeah.
See, and that one's a really good mechanic. And when I get more than 148 health, you can slap me with that healer. I'll let it go through so your life can double.
So how long you reckon have you've been playing Magic in general and Arena in specific?
So I've been playing Magic almost since it started. I was a kid when I was introduced to it. Played it a few times off and on. Got more into it in high school, and then I think I joined Arena in, I think it was about, it might have been 2018 when I downloaded Arena. I've been playing it off and on. There'd be a time where I'd go like almost a year without playing it, just because sometimes the decks you get encountered with, it just kind of be like, all right, I'm done with the toxic. But then I got to the point where like, whatever, I'm just going to videotape me ranting about the toxic. And so I started the channel that I have, at which point it kind of exploded. I was like maybe 20 posts, and I had 6 whole whopping followers in a month. Then I made one post that it's now at like 300,000 views.
Oh, that's
and
great.
yeah, I now have I think maybe 5 that have hit over 100k views, and now I've got 13,000 followers, and I don't even know what to do with it all. I mean, I'm grateful for the support. I think most of the videos are usually when something ridiculous is happening. I find a lot of people's comments to be pretty amusing at times, especially with the last deck that I was doing, where I was using a Tree of Perdition to give people health, and they didn't know what to do with that, and so they rage quit. like everyone hates on mono white life gain decks. Well, now all of you can gain life. Take that.
It's a different day, more of a social experiment than a deck testing, if you ask me. See what people do when they don't know.
Well, the thing is while I'm playing with their life total and bringing it up, my board is getting big, and I've got a lot of defending going on, and they're trying to build, but I'm giving them plenty of time to open up their deck and let their deck do what it can do, and their creatures are getting big, but they can't get past my giant wall of huge trees. Yeah. And so it becomes one of those things where they just they don't know what to do, and so they quit. Gain additional life.
Pianist Way just followed.
Thank you for the follow. So you mentioned something very interesting, which is sometimes the meta in Arena or in Magic in general gets toxic, that you just wanted to take a break from it. And I remember the card that made me quit when I was in that stage. Like, I started playing Magic again because I played a little bit when I was very young, when I was like 13, 14. And then I just abandoned it because I said, you know what, I didn't know about the online things were not really accessible to me at the beginning, and it was not that popular. I didn't know that Arena came out, so I said, okay, I'm just gonna, when I'm gonna go back to tabletop is when I can make my own good collection of cards and so on. But then I started playing when I was like, my beta, I guess it would be 2018 or something like that. And yeah. You know, I was having fun trying to not go into the jankiness as we're doing right now, which is now something that I enjoy way more than, you know, having the absolute perfect deck that wins every time. It was just more exploring what the game can do. And but there was a meta where Teferi, you know, the one that it does like what is +2 on top 2 lands, and it was like a counter control deck. You couldn't do anything, and it would just start exiling your whole board when he was drawing cards, and you couldn't really do anything because it had like fog effects. You cannot damage me, I counter this, I bounce this, I bounce that, and I just got fed up with it. I said, you know what, when even mono red cannot beat a blue-white deck, that's where I'm off, because I was trying to just get to, you know, gold, just to get the extra package at the end of the season, and I couldn't. It was just too frustrating for me. So I said, you know what, whatever. And then when Pyrexia was announced, I have a love for all the, you know, the lore of Magic and Pyrexia and so on. So I said, okay, I'm going back in. And then Sheoldred was released. And I said, you know what, actually, this card again is the new Teferi. Whatever, anybody's gonna just splash black to just play Sheoldred in every possible deck. And I was sucked in again with Lord of the Rings, but then the One Ring was the thing. So I have a very complex relationship of love and hate with the game when this very, you know, when the power creep hits the new heights.
Oh yeah. Well, and I understand that. My wife absolutely hates my term on it, but when I encounter those decks where they've got every single card that says they can't lose, you can't win, or 8 turns in and they've played 4 board wide, 3 exiles, and you're like, you're playing with yourself. Like, I'm just gonna call that a masturbate deck. You're playing with yourself. You want an audience. And she's like, you shouldn't be saying that. I'm like, what? That's what they're doing. They don't want to play with someone. They want to have someone watch them play with themselves. I'm actually got enough help that I'm going to take that, because now you can take that and then double it. Oh, hey, look, now I can get in the game.
You got your rocks finally?
No, I pulled a Celestial Mantle.
Oh, let's go.
And I just pulled a rock. All right. I will save that for now, and then I'll gain my 1 life instead of gaining however much. I guess technically I would have gained a lot more if I just let that Healer Hawk die. There we go.
So now, just to demonstrate what I was saying before, if now I exchange back the power to the thing, I get like a healing, as you have seen. Like I get healed from the
Yeah.
difference that I have.
No,
this day.
don't. No, your Evra has lifelink.
Yeah, but as I was telling you, the exchange of the life with the counters, it just goes... Somehow the game doesn't like when Evra has counters on it.
Oh.
So when you exchange the life total, it doesn't work. Because what I managed to do was to give Evra at some point the negative value. Because, but if you give it the counters, then it just screws up and then it just goes back to have, I don't know, like only 150 of power or something like that. So I'm trying to pull that off again here.
I'm going to put that on my own little healer hawk. So I'm going to swing at you with my little healer hawk so I can double my 69 health.
Well, it's just that for now, but it's gonna grow. That's the funny thing about this, that it takes a lot of time to set up, but then once it's set up, it just grows crazy very quickly.
Like a snowball becoming an avalanche.
Yeah.
So decline that,
I would love a Dawn of Hope to be able to draw some cards, to be honest.
And until you have to say decline.
Yeah. And have you been always interested in these like side ways of like breaking the game when you started playing Magic, or it was something that just after more as a seasoned player you say, okay, I had my share of, you know, the competitive or what is like the classic way of playing Magic, and then I would like to see how the rest is, you know, what actually the game can do?
You know, it wasn't even as conscious as that. When I first started playing, I was probably the worst deck builder and mediocre player that ever existed. My elf deck that I have now at one point was a 200 card deck that was half beasts and half elves and was super terrible. And I never did anything competitive. I've never done any Magic tournaments. I've gone to a couple of drafts with friends.
Yeah.
Never did well. But when my elf deck started refining itself and I had an infinite elf combo that I'd be like, I can get this guy infinitely huge, sacrifice him, create infinite hell or infinite elf, gain infinite life, make creatures infinitely huge, and then attack all on one turn. I was like, that's pretty funny. And so I'd start doing these obscure mechanics just for kicks and giggles. I've got a really old deck that originally was my wife's until I doctored it up. It's mono black, and it would, anytime an opponent discards a card, they lose 2 life, I gain 2 life. And I realized there were more cards that gave that same function. And the deck was really good at milling cards out of your hand, but then you'd have no hand. So then I had to change it so that way I forced you to draw. So it would be things like, I force you to draw 2 cards and lose 2 life. Then I'm going to make you discard those 2 cards and you're going to lose 16 life because of these 3 other enchantments that are out. And people felt it was very annoying. And I'd find these amusing mechanics that would just be hilarious. And I'm like, all right, let's see how many infinite combos we can create. Let's see how we can do this. But it would always be in good fun, just for the sake of goofing off.
Yeah, not like humiliating the opponents, just to see if it works, prove a concept.
Well, yeah, and I mean, Magic has always been a social thing for me, which is why I think Arena really shot itself in the foot by not having a dialogue, because it's fun to just be able to talk with people, get the deck ideas, what they do, maybe a little bit of smack talk if you can make it tasteful. But it's always been kind of a social thing, and so when they made it so hyper competitive, I was like, well, that kind of takes all the fun out of it, because sometimes the strategy and the battle tactics is more fun than just having your screen say victory. I mean, I have one of the reels where someone was playing a Rhox and I was gaining life and he ended up smacking the crap out of me with all these little pings, and I'm like, well, that was very well played. Like, I thought I could survive this. I thought this was going to last a really long time, but it didn't.
No, so I understand that the chat would be interesting. The problem is that not every person is invested in the knowledge of the strategies as much as we are. Like, people get very toxic very quickly, especially when they can do, I don't know, 20 damage turn 3. So I don't know, I think it's a little bit of policing when you get, unless you can, of course, then you add people on the chat and then you can chat with them, which doesn't allow you to do, I think, immediately, because you need to give their code. That's a little bit the thing that I don't understand, because then, yeah, if you want to have a conversation, then you can add someone while you're playing with them. And then if it's talking, you just, you know, block the guy and just keep playing, and that's it. But the fact that you need the friend code and the hashtag, then that makes it a little bit more complicated. Because I had people that beat me before I could really see what their deck what the deck does. Also because I would like to understand the mechanic. But I would be interested to know, okay, wow, this deck idea is pretty cool. What are you actually doing with this? but I couldn't. So yeah, you know, you take bits and pieces. I have to take screenshots of the graveyard of the board and try to piece it back up, like reverse engineer it. But yeah, it's not that easy sometimes.
Well, and there's been a few times I've tried to, and I'm sure some people, because you can't communicate. Like, I know that one guy had a really bad draw. I was doing really great. I had a huge presence on the board, but I wanted to give the guy a chance just to see what his deck could do. Yeah. And he probably just thought I was stalling the game and screwing with him, which, without the ability to communicate and let him know, like, hey, you know, I'll give you a chance. So I'm like, I could kill you, but I'm not going to. And then the very next turn, when I passed turn, he board wiped everything. And I'm all like, oh, well, fine then. And then, without mercy, just hammered the crap out of me. And I'm all like, all right. I mean, even if I have the ability to end a game in a multiplayer thing because of an infinite combo that's either on the board or in my hand, sometimes I'll be like, you know, I don't need to do this just because we're having fun, and I'll see how things go. Sometimes my wife would be like, it's getting late, we need to end the game. I'm like, okay, boom, boom, boom. Everyone's dead. I win. Thanks for coming over. We'll see you later. And they're like, you've had that in your hand the whole time? And I'm like, well, yeah, but that would have been boring.
Yeah, that's not the spirit of the game, is it? Yeah, we have a house rule when we play in the pod with my friends that infinite combos, they can only resolve like maximum 3 loops. Otherwise, like, you can do a lot of damage, but it's not like it can give you an edge, but it's not like the infinite, because otherwise your game just becomes fishing for the combo pieces, you know, and that's not fun. So it's nice that you have something there that it does it, but you don't need to exploit it. And also, I don't want to do it. I don't have fun with it. But I completely understand that when it's like, when you see that, you know, you have to leave and then you just have it in your, okay, bye. My card, this was the card that I was waiting to use. Luckily, I need to leave. Bye, sorry to everybody. Infinite damage to everyone.
Well, and I mean, that's what those board wipes used to be back in the day. It's all like, I'm sure I could win without using this, but I guess I'm gonna board wipe things and then I'll do something drastic. And nowadays, people are like, I'll board wipe you 4 times, break your spirits, exile the next 3 cards, and then I'll poke you with a 1/1. I'm like, that's dumb. I'm gonna double my life total again because I let you quadruple yours. Yes. Almost.
You have the Rhox, so you're picking up pace.
I am, which is why I took that last healer hawk to the face.
Maybe in hindsight, it was not the greatest idea for me to go for that.
The more you play a deck like this and you have the ability to open up, you'll learn those little tactics.
Yeah. You do what you can. Decks, that's something that I'm finding out with I have a Pirate Brawl deck with Admiral Brass, Unsinkable, that I bought it just to play with some friends when we gifted one of my friends a deck for his birthday. We say, okay, I just gonna buy something on the cheap side to be able to have something to play tabletop. And the nuance that you have with that deck, I did not realize, honestly. It's so more nuanced than I thought, and it ended up being one of the strongest deck I played, just because you learn actually how to play the game, especially in Commander when you have just one copy for each card. To explore the different interactions between things, it takes a while. It's not that straightforward.
Yeah, I don't play a whole lot of Commander. I do have a Commander deck in real life that is mono white and it's clerics, and people look at me really weird with that, but most of the clerics, they all prevent damage or nullify things or gain health. And then my commander, I can't remember what its name is, but it's a 1x and it puts X +1/+1 counters on you tap it, you put a +1/+1 counter on it, or you tap it and you put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So they all get really big, and again, it's this just huge wall that eventually I can gain life with. Definitely not as competitive as most commanders, but it was kind of hard to build when being completely dependent on a single card, and that can be really tough. I think one of the reasons why I wasn't a super big fan of commanders, because most people would build the deck based off of the commander.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but if your commander is so annoying that it automatically gets exiled or sent back to the commander zone every time you pull it out, then you need a deck that can function without that one card.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing that on YouTube it's called the Trinket Mage, I think it's called. And he was making this point exactly, that you can build commander decks in two ways. You can build the commander base, and that's like the most fragile way of building a deck, because if the commander is either he has entered the battlefield effect that is so important that then basically it does what it is once it entered, and then it can be exiled. It doesn't really matter if it stays in. But if you have something that has like active effects, that's gonna stick for long, because everybody, also the thing with commander is that people see it coming. So rather having like a commander that can help you stabilize something, or enhance something that your deck already does, it's a way more efficient mechanic, and also makes you explore more the rest of the deck, because otherwise it's all a rush to protect and use your commander rather than actually trying to play the rest of the cards that are synergizing with it. Okay, you're getting attacked again this turn.
Have you not been attacking me? Well, I have this infinite 141 that you could have been slamming me. You're still gaining 12,000 health or 2,000 health, but I'll take the next one to the face.
Yeah.
This is also why, I mean, the deck itself isn't that competitive, especially with ranked, is because it's so slow. People are like, I'm not gonna stick around for this. They'll board wipe it, or they'll surrender, or they'll whatever. They're like, no, the life gain, it's fun. But I mean, I've also had some people in the comments on my reels where I'm just getting stomped by people, and they're like, you have a Soul Warden, you deserve what you get. And I'm like, wow, the amount of hate for just a single 1/1 creature that is easily destroyed. All right.
That's the thing, like, that's one of the things that also I was thinking about it recently when I was playing with in Standard. When I started playing, for me, I see Crater Hoof Behemoth, Planeswalkers, these huge creatures that you see them come down and you say, oh, shit, I hate this card. It's so much all at once, blah, blah, blah. And then when you grow up and you actually get to know the game better, you understand that the hate goes for Llanowar Elves, Soul Warden, these kind of cards, because those are the cards that actually silently, they give you so much edge than the big top-end cards. For example, Llanowar Elves, it's so crucial in some of my strategies, like this Divar deck that I want to showcase at some point. That really, if people know and they remove it, like, I'm done. That's the thing, like, I need the ramp. That turn 1 ramp is so vital. The Llanowar Elf is just a 1/1, and when I see green decks, mono green decks that are playing Llanowar Elf, that thing is gonna die immediately. If I have a removal, you are gone.
That's my really old elf deck. I mean, now granted, it's a 20-year-old deck that has been slowly refined as new cards come out, and I see how well they synergize. But it's got a Well-Wisher in it, and you tap it and you gain life equal to how many elves are in play.
Yeah.
And people are like, okay, whatever. It's a little 1/1 elf, or it might be a 2/2, but it's like, okay, whatever. And I'm like, cool. And then I throw out a Defiant Elf. He's a 1/1 trample, and people are like, okay, whatever. And then I throw out I think it's Wirewood Watcher or something. You tap him and you give target creature +X/+X for each elf in play. And so I'm like, I attack you with a 1/1 trample, and they're like, I don't care. And I'm like, I tap this creature, and now he's a 31/31 trample, and they're like, what the freak? I'm like, yeah, but you didn't declare any blockers because he was only a 1/1, so now you're dead. And then I got to the point where I discovered Mercy Killing, and I'm like, I'm going to ramp this thing up to a 50/50, and they're like, what? And then I'm going to kill it, and they're like, why? And I'm like, because now I've got 51 elves, and then I tap my Well-Wisher that you've been ignoring, and now I have 50 health. And they're like, I don't, why?
Yeah, there's those kind of scenarios of like, if you know, you know, but if you don't know, you're in for a treat.
Oh, and once they see it, oh, yeah, those things die so fast. I'd get a Viridian Joiner. He's a 1/2. You tap him and you gain 1 green mana equal to his strength, which is 1. Not a big deal. And no one would look at it. And then I pull out an Umbral Mantle, which says pay 3 colorless untap equipped creature, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. And I'm sure that when they created that, they're like, okay, so someone's going to attack with a 3/3, and then they'll use this, and they'll untap it, and it becomes a 5/5, and then they can block with it, and that's pretty fun. They didn't think that I would just use an Umbral Mantle on a Viridian Joiner, create an infinite mana combo where he's infinitely huge, and start wreaking havoc. Decline. Decline. Yeah, I feel like a credit card company. Decline. You put that on your other Healer Hawk, that's going to get really big really quick. That is such a glorious card. God. Alright, attack with both. I am going to take both to the face. And that Healer Hawk just gained...
1,800.
It's still going. You are now at 25,785.
That's why we play this game.
That's why I have Voice of the Blessed. All right. Oh, hey, look. I'm gonna not match your Healer Hawk with my Healer Hawk. I'm not gonna prolong things by drawing cards. I've got too much crap in my hand.
I'm not gonna even bother with the...
Oh, the Ajanis?
Should I?
Oh, no. Do one of them.
If I do the -9 on this Healer Hawk, and you just...
Yeah, you can definitely do the -9 on that one.
That's my way I speed this up. There you go.
That is a buff bird. So, one of the decks I have in paper is a Vampire Cleric deck. It's black and white. And it has that, what is that, aristocratic... whatever. You sacrifice a creature and you tap him, and he puts a +1/+1 on each vampire you control. I have an enchantment that says whenever I deal damage to a player, I can pull a creature from my graveyard and put it into my hand. So I'll sack a Healer Hawk, use it to feed all of my vampires. Then I'll attack with something that's essentially unblockable, poke you for minor damage, and pull the Healer Hawk back into my hand, and then play it so I can sack it again and feed my vampires. I don't know how zombified that Healer Hawk is by the end of the game, but it ends up becoming the main course.
There is one with the cat and the witch's oven that makes the infinite food tokens, because you can just, sack the cat, goes to the graveyard, comes back. And it's more like when you're at 20 and they start comboing off, and you say they do it once, they do it twice. When you go down to 15 now to saying, should I worry about this? Then you go up to 10 and it's like, okay, is there a way I can stop this? And then you're at 5 and you say, okay, I want to concede, but by the time that you do it, it's, oh, there we go.
Use your 72. Use your 72 to block my 139 that at the beginning of my turn was only a 3/3.
All right, let's go.
All right, let's do this.
Oh yeah, you have 2 doublers. Oh my god, that's gonna be a buff soldier.
See, and I was worried that I wasn't gonna catch up because you were gaining life. I think you might have gone a couple of turns without attacking me. Maybe some of the people that were watching will come back in like 10 minutes or so and check in. They're like, this was going really slow. These guys are kind of boring. And then you're like, Dad, you're missing the main event. I'm almost at 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'm at 6 million health right now.
Oh, there he is.
You could make another huge... Well, yeah, make another huge bird, because sometimes they get their ability capped.
No.
And
now can do.
You got it right.
I finally got it.
Because it's going to double in health anyways.
Yeah.
Plus that other one going through, you gain almost 2,000, plus it doubles now with the Ajani's and the other thing. And
wow, that was a big number. What is it, like a 2 million, 2.5 million hawk? Just don't blink. You might miss how fast these creatures are growing.
Well, and that lovely thing is with that with Linden, the Steadfast Queen, when you pump her out, like if you've got a Soul Warden and a Ajani's Bridemate, Linden, Steadfast Queen, and then your 4th turn you pull out another Ajani's and you attack. Those Ajani's get so big on turn 4 and 5 just from those that people are like, I can't handle that. But she causes a lot of triggers to happen.
Yeah.
And so, but she's a great card if you're ever swarm killing. You know, you throw an Angel of Doom out and you attack with 100/1/1s and you gain 100 life, which means they all gain plus 100 plus 100. User Jocelyn, who I played against, she found me through my channel and I friended her. She showed me the glory of that card, and I played a couple games with her, posted one of them, and I would probably not have found that card out without her help because I hadn't been looking.
There's so much stuff to figure out. Like, there are combos that honestly I don't even know how people get the connection, because it's so like from such remote, like a new card enables a combo of a very old card that I don't even know how people remember them. It's just like you need to have like the magic library in your head at all times to be able to see a card and say, oh wow, I wanted to always make a deck with this old card, but I needed a piece that now I have. That's when you're really a genius when you play Magic. Like, there are some streamers that do it. It's like, how the hell did you even think about that?
I was saying, or things where you've got two completely random cards that you'd never even expect, kind of like your cat in the Witch's Cauldron. It was you actually showing me the Evra.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's pretty cool. And so when I typed it in on Arena to look for it, I found the Tree of Perdition. And I'm all like, that would be really funny with Light of Promise. Just because I'm giving my opponent health, which no one does. And yeah, we haven't even gotten to the negative yet.
Yeah. This approach, like what we're trying to get, like to see if actually by swinging with a massive creature, once you're in negative health, actually makes something happen. It would be the literal definition of too big to fail, I think.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I don't know if a lot of people know what happens when we're going into negatives. The computer, they have so many slots for how many billions of health that we can have. But in computer lingo, every positive number ends in 0. So eventually it'll be like 11111111110. But because it has to increase in numbers, it'll turn that last number into a 1. But in computer lingo, that last number being a 1 means that it's a negative number. So that's why if you glitch something out so far, it goes into the negative, because it's so far into the positive the computer can't register it. And so when it registers that for your life total, it says you're so far into the positive, even though you're in the negative, that when you start taking damage, it starts bringing it down. And then you register that you went into the positive because your back number went from a 1 back down to a 0. But it doesn't know that what's going on, and so you just keep going back and forth from the positive to the negative to the positive, and the game doesn't decide a victor that way because it broke too much.
I think I can take a turn of 12 damage.
No.
Oh, there you are. There you are. There you are.
Did I hit the negative?
Yeah, you hit the negative.
Oh, I'm super negative. All right, you know what? I'm not going to block anything. I'm not going to block a thing.
You shouldn't die from it, I hope.
Okay. You're like, everything I got, huh? Let's flex a little bit more. Chaplains are lifelink. Your other things are lifelink. It's going to add up good. Let's see how much damage I can take. No blocks.
It's been an hour that we're waiting for this. Let's go.
Grand finale here, 18,66336. Millions. More millions.
More minus.
More millions. I'm still in the negative health. You got 68 triggers going on right now. There is when I was doing this with my friend, my computer I bought right before COVID happened in 2020. He had a gaming computer he built.
Yeah.
And there was a time triggers were going off, and I'm sitting there like, he's like, come on, take your turn. I'm like, I'm waiting for all the counters to stop triggering. And he's like, dude, mine stopped 30 seconds ago.
All right. So the thing is, now what I want to get to wrap this up is I want to get to the negatives myself. I want to switch my life with Evra, and I want to swing at you with that Evra and see what happens. But I don't think that the idea is that I don't think that you get more negative than that, right? Or would you?
Actually, I can make that negative go higher. We'll see whether or not your attacks make my negatives go lower or higher, and then maybe I can gain life and.
Well, I think that you achieved immortality right now.
All right, let's do this.
Let's go. Let's test what these servers can do.
I'm a pacifist now. I don't believe in violence. You can't hurt me.
Look, like I am not dealing you any damage. I don't know if you're seeing this.
No, it's not.
What? What?
Oh,
I'm
now
taking...
you're in the negative.
Yeah, I was taking damage for most of it.
How are you taking damage?
Yeah, because like there is one trigger that is gonna put -1, like -2 billion counters on a creature.
Because your Light of Promise made you too big.
Look, like this was damage again, and now I'm in the positive again. Come on, I want a Rhox. I'm greedy. I want a Rhox. Now I'm taking damage again.
No, look at my health. My health went down.
What the hell?
My health went down. My negative went from 11 down to 58. You're actually hurting me.
Somewhere in the algorithm, I have managed to hurt.
Why would you do that? Why would you?
Because I want to push this to the absolute limit achievable.
The power. The power.
Now another neat interaction that I wanted to show is this. So now if I activate the ability on Evra, this happens. But then
you went from the negative to the positive.
Yeah, and then I do this. But the rocks are gonna double the difference. So now you see now
yeah, now you're negative 418, and
so
you still not dead.
So I think I decked myself.
Oh, you killed yourself! Dang it!
I didn't even realize that. I'm so dumb. No. Yeah, but anyway, I screwed up because with Evra now, for some reason, it didn't give the negative number to Evra.
We do know that if you hit max negative health and take 1 billion health to the face, your negative counter does go down, which will bring me closer to 0.
Yeah, and also it looks like you don't take damage. Like the animation that plays out is the animation when you hit someone with the one ring. Like it doesn't swing for damage. It looks like I'm not damaging you for whatever reason. I don't know what the game is thinking at that point.
No, but then you look at your health and all of a sudden it's smaller. And you're like, oh, okay. I guess that happened. But that's the whole point of breaking the game, right?
Yes, that's the idea. That's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to push. All right, man. Thanks again for joining my stream. And yeah, I'll edit a video and send you for that. And yeah, have a nice day.
You too. Appreciate it. And I look forward to playing with you again.